hope you all had a good break. Okay, so what we're going to talk about now is the actual process of applying for work. So we've already discussed the key message: it's not personal. And it's a numbers game, right? So you have to be at the top of the numbers in terms of suitability, not in terms of marks. I keep coming back to that because it is important, okay? So we're going to talk about finding the opportunities. We're going to talk about basic job application skills. I'll touch on resumes. It's not going to be a whole resume writing course. We're going to talk about analysing the opportunity, doing your research. 4 good applications are better than 100 rubbish ones. I'm going to say it 100 times because that is a really, it's absolutely true. All right, quality applications. Now, even for graduates, I was pleased to find these statistics without having known that they were already existing. Even for graduates, advertised positions will represent the minority of your opportunities to find work. 34%. This was graduates who found work in the first 4 months after leaving university. Advertised positions, only 34%. Networks, 37%. You are more likely to find a job through your network than through an advertised position. Now, have you actually thought about what your network is? And the answer is probably not, right? While you're at university, those early years of your career, this is your time to actively develop your networks because you have this great resource available to you. Firstly, there is the people around you, the other students around you, the people that you're doing your work experience with. These are really good people to cultivate as your networks. Now, I think I've said before, I was a prickly young man, didn't get on well with people, didn't make a lot of friends. At university, I took no trouble whatsoever to cultivate the people around me, and that was a major mistake in my career. I encourage every single one of you to cultivate the networks, and I'm not saying you have to be friends with these people, but you can be good professional colleagues with each other. There is a tendency at university that you'll make a few friends and when you hang out with those friends, even from the people in your class, you won't necessarily have a good network of people around, right? People from non-English speaking backgrounds will naturally gravitate to people who speak the same language as them. I would too if I was living in a different country, because God knows I'm terrible at languages. Whichever group you're in, make sure that you take the trouble to network with it, to spend some time and make those good relationships with the people on the other side. It will work in your favour. I guarantee it. The academics around you, right? The academics around you they are a great resource in themselves, and they are a great resource of who they know. The whole point of networking is the whole 6 degrees of separation thing. Who does the person you know, who do they know, etc. Right? LinkedIn, all that sort of stuff. I am 5 degrees separated from the Queen. I used to work with a guy who went to school with a guy who was the butler to the Queen. I may have missed a step there. But you see what I'm saying? Everyone is networked, and those networks will be incredibly useful to your thing. Now, top students, do we have any stars in the audience? Come on, don't be bashful. Any of you, the top of your grade, you those first few people in your grade? No, doesn't matter. I wasn't either. Those top students, they will get poached. They won't have trouble finding the job. What they'll actually have trouble with is choosing the right job. Because there'll be all these people who will try, I mean, you know, for instance, one of my mates at university, fabulously talented fellow. In 50 plus subjects that we did, he had 5 distinctions. The rest were HDs. He spent 3 nights a week picking drunks up off the street with mission beat. He was a champion fencer, champion rower, incredibly good looking. Women flocked to him. You would have loved to hate him, but you couldn't because he was the nicest guy in the world. Now, he went off, he got a university medal, he got a Rhodes Scholarship at Oxford, and something like 80% of Rhodes Scholars at Oxford, he was recruited by McKinsey's. Now, that worked out for him, but frankly, I wouldn't want that. It wouldn't suit me. I mean, okay, I wasn't a superstar, but it wouldn't suit me, right? Just because somebody wants you doesn't mean you want them, and that's an important lesson for all of us, even the average Joes. Just because an employer wants you doesn't mean that you want them. This is a two-way street. Direct approach is also quite interesting, although it's a difficult one to do. How are you going to do your direct approach? You're probably going to do it via your network, and we're comfortable with that. So who is your network? By the way, don't you love this picture? Friendly chemists. Who is your network? Your network is more than people who are going to find your jobs. Your network is a major business asset to you. It's the people who are going to find you job opportunities. They're going to find you business opportunities, cross-fertilisation of ideas, finding and accessing resources. It's all about trust. So when I say I need an engineer to help me on this project and I need someone to start 2 weeks from now, do I just advertise the position? No. I go out to my network and I say, who do you know? You know me. You know what I do. Who do you know would suit my business and can jump in straight away and help me? And I will take their recommendation because I trust them. So or who do I go to buy this sort of equipment or that sort of chemical? Your network are the people, your trust network, the people who are going to be your business asset going forward. So cultivate that. Not just at university, through your career, through your early career. I mean, many of you here at NMI, you're meeting with people who are established in your careers. Make sure that you are taking the trouble to talk to them, to listen to them, become known to them. Make it worth their while to give you a leg up. Who is your network? It's your peers, it's your academic staff, it's your alumni association in theory. Never really worked for me. I've never really been able to find a way to leverage it properly, but in theory it seems like it should work. Your professional association. I cannot emphasise how useful your professional association can be. This is a plug right now for the Royal Australian Chemical Institute, those of you who are chemists. Right, the Royal Australian Chemical Institute is more than just a bunch of balding, greying men. It's people who are established in their careers, and most of them would love an opportunity to give back to the next generation. But they can't give back if they don't know you. They can't give you a leg up if they don't know you. Go to your professional associations, attend the events, not just one event. Look, I'm going to talk about how to network in a minute. But I remember, even with my enormous ego, how intimidating it was to walk into a room of old white men who all knew each other, who were all talking about stuff that they knew, and break into those conversations and introduce myself and make myself known. I remember how hard that was. And I'm not a particularly shy fellow. So it is hard to do, but it is eminently worthwhile. Now, I mentor young scientists through this whole process. My last mentee, I took him to an industry event and I said, please come with me to this event, I'll pay for your ticket. And while you're there, I'm going to introduce you to some people because I know you're looking for work. So I introduced him in one event to 10 people and I said, this is my mentee, he's a fine young man, let's find him a job. I got 8 responses from one event of people who said to me, I've heard about this, I've heard about that. Not one of them was with their own company, but the network is who do they know, who do they know. I got 8 job opportunities came forward out of him attending one event. Family and friends, mutual colleagues, former employers. It's all about mutual contacts. Does that make sense to everybody? Is everybody feeling the love on that one? Right. All right. How to network. Networking is not a born skill. It's one that you have to learn, and for some of us, we're going to have to work out harder than others. Is there anybody who's shy? Who's shy doesn't want to put up their hand? William? So it is William, is it? Yes. Yes. All right, William, you're a bit shy. So, it is probably difficult for you to walk into a room, walk up to somebody and say, hi, I'm William, whatever, right? There are tactics that you can use so that when you go into that room, you can be ready to do it, okay? Things like, when you go to an event and there's going to be 50 or 100 people in the room, don't try and talk to 50 or 100 people. Focus on just a few connections at a time, okay? Networking is a long-term game, right? You're sowing your seeds in the fall. Gosh, that shows me as North American. You sow your seeds in autumn so that they flower in spring, okay? This is something that's a long-term game. And you do your networking by going again and again and again. Plan ahead with some open-ended questions, okay? Networking is not about going into a room and talking about yourself. It's giving an opportunity to share back and forth, but to also get to know this person, asking open-ended questions, right? Nothing people love doing better than talking about themselves. Ladies, you know how much men love to talk about themselves. So give them an opportunity to talk about themselves in a way that is hopefully a little more subtle than tell me about yourself, right? Ask them useful questions. What's your favourite part of the job? Why is that a useful question? Because it's more than simply getting them to talk. It's also learning things that might actually be useful to you about helping you decide what it is that you're interested in. What's your best advice for a young chemist starting out? Great one. Nothing people love better than being asked their advice. Use your listening skills, okay? It's more than asking the question. It's actually listening to the answer. And indeed, I'm going to skip again. Swap business cards and keep notes, right? After you've listened to these people, make notes. What have they told you about themselves? Where they work? What their kids' names are? You know, things that are important to them, so that next time you meet them, you can reference back. You know, when I do stand-up comedy and you make a joke about something earlier than routine, it's called a callback. You want to do callbacks on your networking, right? Business cards is actually worth pointing out. Most of you, until you're employed, won't have a business card. For God's sake, they're cheap. Go out and get yourself business cards. Why? Because when you introduce, hi William, right? Okay, I'm Dave, right? Now, how do I get in contact with you next time I've got, you know, actually that job, that would really suit William. How do I reach him? Right? Unless you've given me a card, how do I get back to you? Right? You're there so that you can make those contacts. How do I get back to you without a card? It's such a cheap, simple thing to do. I mean, you can get them online for $50 or something, for $500, you know. Have them there so that you can swap cards. And when you have swapped cards and you got this person's card, you make some notes about who they are so that next time you can talk to them properly. Right? Because, like many of you, and William, how many times have we met before? Once, twice?
Twice.
Twice, right? Now, I didn't know William's name the first time I met him. Probably didn't remember it the last time we met. But I damn well remembered this time, didn't I? Right? It takes me a while, but I'm going to get there, bit by bit. Build rapport over time, right? Now remember, everyone is people just like you. We're all just people. We all remember, even us fogies, we remember the dim, dark past of how it was for us. We're going to try to make it easy for you, but you have to work with us. Right? We're going to try to help you, but you have to work with us. Follow-up is a really good idea. You know, thank you notes. It was great to meet you the other night. I had a really interesting time discussing X, right? Actually, you mentioned this thing. I read an article about this just recently. Have you seen this? Is it of interest to you? Nothing like showing that you have that follow-up, because it's establishing that rapport with the person. You're far more likely to stick in their head. Does that all make sense to everybody? Everybody happy with that? Okay, great. By the way, can anybody name what's on the right? Ferris wheel, thank you very much. All right. Where to network? Okay, social media is absolutely a benefit, okay, particularly LinkedIn. Now, things upon LinkedIn. Use your own name, put a bloody photo on it. The number of people who LinkedIn anonymously, what the hell? I'm sorry, I work too long in the mining industry, sometimes my language gets away with me, but why on earth would you go to a LinkedIn thing and then go to a networking place and then be anonymous? That just doesn't make any sense. Of course you need to be professional, and hence Facebook, MyFace, Timber, whatever the hell it is. There's your danger zone. There's your great big red waving flag, flashing light. My God, the number of mistakes that get made here, right? Your social media profile should be squeaky clean. No photos of yourself drunk on holiday. No photos of yourself doing something stupid. No photos, no text of you slagging an employer off or even slagging anyone off, right? I know you think that it's personal, it's not. Most employers these days will look at your social media profile and they will make judgments about you. So keep it clean, keep it... I mean, the stories I could tell. We'll come to that in a minute, right? So get involved is also for your network. Get involved, right? It's more than networking is a two-way street. You have to give to get, right? Ultimately, it's an investment. You're going to get much more out of it than you give, but you do have to give, right? Get involved in your professional association. Do volunteering. Build rapport. Develop considered viewpoints. That's a great thing for networking, right? What I mean by this is be able to express an opinion about something the topics of the day, the things that you're talking about in a professional context at these networking events, but obviously do so with some common sense about how you express them. Right, resources. This will be available afterwards, so you don't need to furiously scribble unless you want to. There are various online resources that are useful to you. Things like Job Advisor. Job Advisor is an interesting one. Job Advisor is basically a trip advisor for employees looking at employers. Who are the good employers? Who are the bad employers? Have they been rated? What do you need to know? Graduate Careers, My Careers, your University Career Services. These are the main recruitment companies in Sydney that relate to scientific staff. So, all right, my single biggest message when it comes to applying for jobs is be prepared. Now, nothing like a visual to help something stick in your head. I have put a very sad picture of a very nerdy, young, broken boy that I hope you remember. The Scout motto, be prepared. That's a very young me, age 9. The job search process is 100% about preparedness. And that is the single biggest thing that you can do to give yourself an advantage over every other applicant. Okay. Treat the job application process as a job in itself. Put as much work and as much commitment into finding a job as you would actually when you get the job. Right? One of the biggest mistakes that young people make is they say, I'll start working hard when someone gives me a job. Right? You give me a job and I will work my ass off to make it worth your while. How's the best way that you can show me that you're going to work your ass off? By doing it to get the job in the first place. Right? The best predictor of future behaviour is past behaviour. So, if you haven't spent 4 hours preparing a job application, a single job application, you have not spent enough time on it. And even 4 hours is cutting it fine. The number of job applications I get where it is evident this person has spent minutes or seconds, how much, if they're not willing to commit that time to me, why would I be to them? Right? Okay. It's all about quality, right? Employers recognise spray, right? We get, you can see when a candidate is just sending their resume to anyone and everyone, where they've given no consideration to their suitability for the role, to whether it just wastes everybody's time. And I can guarantee it, not only do I junk that resume, but if I see it more than once or twice, I remember, and I'll be junking it whether or not they're applicable to the job. Do your research. It's all about the research. I mean, many of you are going to be wanting to get into jobs where research is an aspect of your job. The best predictor of future behaviour is past behaviour. Show that you can research to do a job that requires research. So research. Use your network. Use the internet to research the company. You're at university. Many of your academic staff will know these companies, or know people at these companies, or know someone who knows people at these companies. Learn about the company. Not only what do they do, not only the facts, but what are they about? What's their culture? What are they driving for? What are they looking for? What's its structure? How are you going to fit into this company? For instance, I would not at all fit into McKinsey's. It's a completely wrong culture for me. But I know enough about it to say I'm not even going to apply because it doesn't fit me. And again, who do you know at the company? Who does the person you know at the company? But what can they tell you about the role? What can they tell you about the company? This research is incredibly valuable background information. And can you imagine how much it helps that when you walk into that job interview and you say, look, I have done my research on your company. I really like this aspect of your company. This is one of the reasons why I want to work for you. Not that just I want a job, I want this job. It makes such a difference to show that you want this job. Why? Because it's about the investment. Why would I invest in somebody who may or may not actually want to work here and may get 2 months into it and actually look, it really doesn't suit me. I think I'll just move on and find something else, right? You've got to want this job. Got to want this job. So I've just jumped ahead of myself. I can't afford to care that a candidate wants a job, right? I cannot tell you how many times I've rejected somebody for the phrase, I don't care, I just want a job. The second those words come out of their mouth, they're out. I need to know that you need this job. I need to know that you are worth the investment of my money and my time. I'm going to skip ahead for one, and I'm going to come back to your resume in a second. Why? When I spoke a moment ago, as soon as they're out, understand that the resume process is not about including candidates. The whole purpose of the resume process is to exclude candidates. I am looking for a reason to reject you because I have 100 resumes in front of me and I need to cut them down fast. So the whole purpose of a resume is to find a reason to reject you. From 100 applicants, I will spend 90 seconds maximum on each. Maximum. I will scan your resume and I will make an immediate decision. And 70% of those I will reject out of hand. I will find a reason to reject them out of hand. 70%. The next 20 I'll go through and I will carefully review and I'll give it some thought. These are people who are perfectly deserving, who could probably do the job just fine, but I'm not looking for somebody who can do the job just fine. I'm looking for the best fit candidate. So I'm going to go back through with a second pass and try and find a second reason to reject you. Of the 10, I'll do another review and I'll pick 5 and I'll give you a phone call. Why am I giving you a phone call? So I want to hear you on the phone. I want to assess your ability to communicate. I'll interview 2, maybe 3, and I'll employ 1. So the statistics are against you, and you want to be in the 5, right? That's where you want to be. You want to be getting that phone call. If you get the phone call, you know you've done right. After that, it's all about fit, right? And it may be that you get to the top 5 and another candidate just fits the job a bit better. Their skills, their experience, their personality, whatever it is, they fit the job a bit better. If you get to the top 5, you've won. Because the top 5 times, you'll get a job. Right? So let's go back. Your resume, it has to command the reader's attention. Okay? I'm going to give you less than 90 seconds of my life. Does that sound brutal? It is. That's the reason I got out of recruitment. Because giving 90 seconds of to people again and again and again and rejecting them out of hand, it's hard on the soul. Saying no to people so many times in a day, that was bad. And people calling me up and begging me, I just need a job. If you just give me a chance, I'll be so good. But that's not my job as a recruitment consultant, right? My job as a recruitment consultant is to find the best person for the job as quickly as possible, right? It's not to give someone a chance. It's to find the person that I can sell to an employer and so that I can make money off, right? Use clear, concise language. Use bullet points to convey information. The whole point is I have to be able to scan it. If you're putting big, dense blocks of text, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to scan it, and maybe I'll pick it up and maybe I won't. You're leaving it up to chance, okay? The biggest mistake that young people make is they use 15 words when they could use 3, right? Use the clearest, the shortest, concisest language that you can. Go through your resume, go through your cover letter, and eliminate every word that doesn't add to your it takes time. Spelling and grammatical mistakes are unforgivable. We live in an era of computers that have spelling and grammar checkers, and I'm still getting resumes with spelling and grammar mistakes? Hell no! Right? If you're careless with your resume, you're going to be careless in my job. I can't afford that. Literally, a spelling mistake will bin your resume with me. Not because I expect you to be able to spell well, but I bloody well expect you to be able to use a computer well enough to check it. Right? Social media links. This was something I found online that was actually a recommendation. Right? I talked before about social media. Social media is both a tool and an enemy. Right? It's a massive risk to young people. But if your social media is clean and neat, then put it on your. Then there is an argument to putting it on your resume, so that you're saying up front, look, I'm clean. Frisk me, right? I'm clean. Because there's so many other candidates who won't be. Get help on your resume. University Career Service. It's free, it's there, they will help you. Why on earth wouldn't everyone use the help that is available to them? Okay? Don't get fancy. Electronic formats can get distorted during transmission. So no fancy fonts, no fancy tables. A lot of, particularly recruitment consultants, use automated systems that extract the information from resumes into their automated systems so they can then do automated searches and filters to get the candidates. Now, if your resume has got too much fancy stuff in it and it junks their algorithm, do you think that they're going to hand do it? No, they're going to say bugger it, bin it, and carry on, right? And so you're out of the pool. So just keep it simple, keep it neat. Bullet points is fine, but don't get fancy. I will also say photos. Now this is interesting because I said on LinkedIn, put your photo, right? The reason on LinkedIn you put your photo is because when you've gone to an event and you've met someone and they're going to look you up on LinkedIn, they can match, oh yeah, that's the right person. Because it doesn't matter what your name is, there's someone else in the world with the same name. Or 50 people with the same name. I was doing business in Malaysia the other day and it was a really unusual name. And I did it on LinkedIn and there were still 20 people with that name. I thought that was pretty impressive. So yes, on LinkedIn, so that people can find you. On a resume, no, is my view. Because a resume, the purpose of a resume is to eliminate you. Don't give a person a reason to make a prejudgment about you. Okay, at the back, I didn't catch your name there, in the headscarf. Islam? Right. So, we talked about stereotypes and how much they suck, right? Now, I am very warm to people of Middle Eastern culture. I do a lot of business in the Middle East, right? But there is an underlying current of people in Australia who are arses. Putting a photo in a headscarf on a resume is an invitation to make a judgment about you, okay? But it's not, I'm picking an example because I can see you, okay? I once had a candidate, female candidate, sent me her resume with a picture of her naked, face down on a Persian rug, with the legs curled up behind her. Now, she had a very nice derriere, but her resume got binned straight away. Why? Because it shows extraordinarily poor judgment. Right? You can't entice me. I'm not looking for a mistress, I'm looking for an employee. Right? I'm looking for someone with good judgment. I had a woman who sent me one in a ball gown because she thought she looked nice in the picture. No, this is a professional environment. It's not about how good you look, it's about what your resume says about you and a reason to junk it, okay? So use some wisdom. Okay, this is a key message. Skills can be taught, personality can't. Now I talked about the stereotype of young people that they're going to be keen and malleable and able to learn and you know, all of those things, right? I'm going to assume that when you come into my job, I can teach you the skills, but I cannot teach you to fit into my workplace, right? You either fit or you don't. So your personality is your biggest differentiating asset. Whether you are shy, whether you are extraordinarily extroverted, you know, whatever it is, there is a role for you that will suit you better, right? An incredibly shy person won't fit a sales role, and an extrovert won't necessarily fit a cloistered laboratory role. There isn't to say that one is better than the other. It's all about fit. So use your personality and try and find a way to bring your personality out in your thing. But do it with a little bit of caution. I had an application recently where I called the guy up and I said, look, I had to call you because I couldn't make it out from your resume and your cover letter. You're either incredibly outgoing or you're an arrogant prick. And I can't tell which. So I need to talk to you to figure out for myself, right? You've got to be a little bit cautious about too much personality. Yeah, just be wise is what I'm saying. Certainly bring... All right. So user analytical skills, right? We've got our job. All right. For a moment, I'm going to talk about job ads, right? Because this is where some of this stuff comes in. Obviously, if you've got your network, it's a little bit different because you've got a lead into the job. But I'm talking about job ads for a second. Carefully analyse the ad. What does it say? Right? Every well-written ad has clues that are in there for you. Direct or implied criteria that you must answer, and sometimes deliberate tricks to fool candidates. Really? Deliberate tricks? Yes. Every time I analyse a chemist position, I say advanced atomic emission, AAS, atomic absorption spectroscopy experience preferred. Do I actually prefer? No, I don't do RATS patootie. I put it in, that's my bomb, that's my hand grenade, right? Because graduates will call me up and say, oh yeah, I don't have any experience with AAS, but I've used it at university. I say, great, tell me how it works. Oh, I have to go back and look it up. Bingo, you're out. That's it, you're out. Because if you can't show me the character traits, the behavioural trait of actually going to look information up so that you are ready to do the job, you're not ready to do the job. Right? That's literally a bomb that I put into my ad, into every single ad, because I know that it will help me eliminate candidates that I don't want. Most job ads will have something along those lines in there. So you're not asking for just what it has asked for, but you're looking for what it hasn't asked for. What's in between the lines? What's the underlying skill set that's required for this role? And if you don't know, which of course you probably don't know, do your bloody research. Talk to your network. You say, here's a job ad. I'm really interested in this one. What do you reckon? Do you know anybody at this company? What can they tell me about this job? Who's already been doing it? Right? So that you can learn, so that you can have the advantage. Because I know this job, I want this job, and I can show the employer I want this job. Getting a little bit strident here, aren't I? All right. Every application is different. You should have a different resume for every job. People say, really? Yes, really. Your cover letter should be carefully written afresh every time. I love the one. People put these resumes into there and say, what's my career objective? My career objective is to get a job with your company. No, it's not. I don't want a toady. I want to hear what your actual career objective is. If your career objective is so freaking minimal that you just want to get a job with me, Christ, I want someone with ambition. I want somebody who wants to work for me, learn a whole lot, and then be a captain of industry 20 years from now. Think about what you're putting in, right? Your cover letter should be no more than 350 words. It should be in impeccable English. If English is your second language, for God's sake, get someone to check it. Show why you want this role. Show why you satisfy the criteria. Show what makes you special. It's not about relisting what's already in your resume, that I have this experience and that experience and this experience. I can see that in your bloody resume. Tell me in words what you can't tell me in your resume. Why you want this role, why you deserve it, why you fit this role. Not why you deserve this role, everyone deserves this role. Right? I can pick 10 people who deserve this role. Why you fit this role. Check it and check it again. Go through it word by word. Cut every word that doesn't need to be there. Don't use fancy English. Write a cover letter the way that you speak. Right? Classic young person mistake is to write and think, oh yeah, this is a business environment, suddenly I've got to get formal. And they write this tortured, fancy English. Jesus Christ, what does this person think, they're Shakespeare? No, just write it the way you speak. Why? Because I want to see your personality. I want to see who you are. And as I said before, spelling and grammatical mistakes are unforgivable. Okay, that brings me to the end of that section. We're 2/3 of the way through. Anybody got questions? Okay, Joe.
Not precisely a question, Dave, but I think the last time at your last presentation, back in October, we talked about the stereotyping side of things, and I think one of the bits of advice was this question about, for those of us who have surnames that are clearly not Anglo-Celt,
yes.
Whether it's worth putting in your resume that what the status is of English
Yes,
your
yes,
language
absolutely,
skills.
absolutely. Yeah, look, there's always going to be points that I miss. You're absolutely right. If you are from a non-English, if your name is not Anglo-Celt, but you are as Aussie as all the rest of us, right? You know, I mean, there's been Asian people in Australia since the 1820s. You can be more Australian than most Australians around you. Just put it in your resume. You know, native English speaker. You know, grew up in Australia. You know, make sure that it's clear. Don't give a person an opportunity to make a bad judgment about you. But if you do speak a second language, for God's sake, say so. Having a second language is incredibly useful in business. Young Ian here, my assistant, one of the reasons I hired him among the various candidates that were available to me is because he has Chinese language skills. Incredibly useful to my business, right? It wasn't the reason I hired him, but it sure helped his application along. Okay, so, you know, I mean, where coming from a non-English speaking background is actually an advantage. You know, I grew up, my father was, or both of my parents were immigrants, but my father refused to teach me his native language. He said, it's too hard. So I don't speak another language well. I speak appallingly bad Italian, meaning that when I go to Italy and I speak in Italian, they respond in English. They don't even ask what language I speak. So I can't put that on my resume, but having a second language is incredibly useful. A good thing to have on your resume. Other questions?
Can I just ask with the business cards, can that work against you? Like, can that give like other people the image that you're sort of overconfident stuff up there?
No, it is nothing more than a tool. Just something so that you give them your contact details, right? Here's my name, here's my phone number. Often, for your personal cards, I put your photo on it so they can remember who you were, right?
Because I think like for someone, I guess, because we're relatively young, like to have that much confidence in giving business cards at this stage of our
No,
life.
it's a business card is a printed handshake. It's just a way of a person finding you again. It's a reminder, nothing more. And your email address. For God's sake, make it a professional email address. You know, hornydog@hotmail. The number of ridiculous email addresses that I have seen on resumes. Just set up a new one with your name. This is a professional transaction. You know, it's all about judgment. It's all about how are you going to fit into the workplace. Do you show good judgment, right? Does anybody have a ridiculous email address that they've been putting on their resume? Oh, good on you. That's unusual. Okay, so, other questions? All right, great, let's have a break.